Thank you, Kathleen Beinhouse, for that wonderful presentation, and you can see why we're going to win this race. Because the passion is on our side, facts are on our side, the stories are on our side, and what Kathleen and her fellow members of the state legislature did was truly phenomenal. Let's give her another round. I want to begin by thanking everybody who helped me in 2010. I want you to know how much I appreciated the hard work that you did throughout the state of Wisconsin. At a time when, frankly, the environment was so different from what it is right now, you wouldn't even believe it. But in a year when Russ Feingold and I tracked each other virtually the same in every county in the state, and Russ had never lost an election, had won 3 times statewide, and we had the same results, and we saw the legislature flip both houses of the legislature. That was a horrible, horrible time. But we all know things change. But before I talk about where we're going, I think it's important to talk a little bit about where we have been. And I'm actually going to go back a little bit in time, even before Kathleen started talking about that. But I think she mentioned that phrase, dropping the bomb. That's a phrase that there's not a single person in this room, in this state, should ever forget, because that's clearly what Governor Walker did. He intended to do it. And what happens when you drop a bomb is one of 2 things. You either obliterate the village, or people fight back like they have never fought back before. And I am happy that in Wisconsin, he didn't obliterate the village, and people are fighting back like they've never fought before, and we have to keep fighting. But let's go back to 2010, September 2010. Governor Doyle had announced that he was not going to be a candidate. I had a very short, unsuccessful boxing career. And frankly, I was at home. And I was on drugs. My wife was starting a new teaching job. My kids were in 4 different schools. And I had worked with Governor Walker as county executive. I knew Scott Walker. I knew him very well, more than anybody else in this room. And I said to my wife, I'm thinking I might have to do this. And she looked at me and she said, are you out of your mind? Because frankly, again, I had been hurt. And we had conversations for the next 6 weeks. And it was a Thursday morning at 6:45 in the morning. And we were in our kitchen. And she knew what was coming. And I said, I've got to do this. I have to do this. You know I love being the mayor of the city of Milwaukee. But I don't know what it's going to be like as mayor of the city with him as governor. I'm concerned about my city. That's not your concern, but that was certainly my concern. And she said, I get it. I get it. That was Thursday. Friday morning, I had the last of 8 pins taken out of my hand. And 48 hours later, I announced that I would be a candidate today. And I did so because I knew what his style of leadership was. And I spent a year of my life traveling around the state trying to tell people what this guy was all about. Because I knew. And what his philosophy was, and continues to be to this day, is he tries to give you a reason to distrust you. And he tries to give you a reason to hate you. It is divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. I saw it day after day when he was county executive. And so I spent the year trying to tell people that. And we all know what the results were. It was competitive, it was a close race, but he got more votes. We tried counting the votes every which way. Every time we counted, he still got more votes. That's life. That's life. Life goes on. Life goes on. I have to tell you, in the following year, I went back to my job the next day, but as I traveled around the state and talked to people, I felt like saying, I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you. And you helped me try to tell people. You were the boots on the ground where we tried to tell people that this guy is an ideological warrior. That's what he is. He's an ideological warrior. And we know about that Coke call. And it would be funny if it weren't so close to the reality. Because we also know what Mr. Koch has said in the last week and a half, that he's putting $700,000 into the independent expenditure to get rid of this, to get rid of the recall effort. $700,000, and he's not the only one. In the month of December, there were 4 people who gave $250,000 each. One guy gave $250,000 in November, another $250,000 in December. And you know what every one of these people had in common? None of them lived in the state of Wisconsin. This is not about our state. This is about an ideological battle that is occurring, and we are ground zero. So it's not just what he did in that campaign. And frankly, as I've watched the events over the last 5 or 6 weeks, where we see this aide being arrested, and this aide being arrested, and this aide being arrested, I have to tell you, I'm thinking, nobody told me I could run my gubernatorial campaign out of my mayor's office. Nobody told me that. I'm glad I did it. But I'm thinking, well, maybe the result would have been different. He had told the truth, and he had not run his campaign out of his county executive office. But that's all water over the dam. Because then he took office. And we all know about the attack on the right to buy. We all know what he tried to do with the redistricting. We all know what he tried to do with making it more difficult for people to vote. Something that we hold dear to our hearts. Is that in a democracy, the right to vote is the ultimate power that we have, and he tries to take that away from the people who are most vulnerable in our state. And he's doing it for hardcore partisan reasons. I see it in my neck of the woods, something that doesn't affect you as much as it affects me, but it does affect your community, in taking foreclosure money. The second largest industry settlement that we have had in this nation's history, second only to the tobacco settlement. And he decides that rather have that money go to individuals and communities that have been adversely affected by the foreclosure crisis, people who were defrauded by banks, that instead of having that money go to them, he's going to plug a budget deficit. I thought he didn't have a budget deficit. He did not have a budget deficit until the day that settlement was announced. And I am not kidding. Kathleen knows it. The same day, the same morning. That's the type of leadership he is providing us. And that has to change. So why am I here? Well, I happen to be in the neighborhood. I have not announced my candidacy. I'm running for re-election as mayor, a job that I love. But I am seriously considering whether I should enter this race. Here's what my bottom line is. Sometimes I get criticized for being too nice a guy, and I say this to people in the back of the room. I want to help this guy find a new career. I want to do it as fast as we can, because I want our Wisconsin better. And I want the best candidate or candidates to do that. That's what this is all about for me. I want us to win this election. And shame on us. Shame on us if we allow this to become a firing squad where we shoot at each other. Because it is 28 days. It is 28 days. And I'll tell you this, my experience from 2010, and whether you like Governor Doyle or not like Governor Doyle, and I like Governor Doyle, but it was a very difficult time economically at the time. And they tried to hang Jim Doyle around my neck. And they ran commercials and commercials and commercials about the challenges that Jim Doyle had. We are making a mistake if we do not keep the focus on Scott Walker and his policies. Every one of us, that should be our pledge, that we are all talking about Scott Walker and his policies. If we do that, all of us here, the boots on the ground, the candidates, the potential candidates, we have to spread that message. Because there was a lot of enthusiasm. There is a lot of enthusiasm with the recall signatures. But that can dissipate very quickly. That can dissipate very quickly in the summertime. People want to go to picnics. They want to have lives. Let's face it. People want their lives to return to normal. That's what we want. We want to have that happen. But we have some important work to do before that can happen. We have to remain focused. We have to remain focused and do everything we can to bring democracy back to this state. That's what this is about. Again, this is, to me, the most serious challenge that we have had as a state since I've been involved in politics. And you know, they feel the same way. As he travels around the country and goes after big bucks in Florida, big bucks in Texas, big bucks in California, big bucks in New York. Is that about Wisconsin? No, it's about the ideological war, trying to give more power and more wealth to the smallest 1% in this country. That's what this is about. And we do have an opportunity, but we also have a challenge. And again, I don't take this lightly. And that's why I'm giving this a lot of thought. That's why I've come here tonight to talk to as many of you as possible. Because we are family. We are family, and we have to do what's best for our family. Not just the Democratic Party, not just the different components of the Democratic Party, but the working people of this state, the children of this state, the seniors, the veterans, the farmers, the people who live in the central city, the people whose voices are not heard in the governor's office right now. And it is our calling and our responsibility to do what we can to present to the people of this state a clear choice. And I will tell you this, because all of us who are involved in this much more deeply than you, we've seen the polls. And we don't live by polls, but we've seen the polls. This is not an easy race. And if anybody tells you all we have to do is put a Democrat on that ballot, we're mistaken. It's going to take us to put the best candidate or candidates, and we will sort that out in the final. But at 8:02, before we announce the winner of the primary, the candidates have to come together and say, we are in this together, we are holding hands, because our job is to bring back our Wisconsin. And that's what our challenge is. So again, I'm here as someone who has fought the battle. I know what this is all about. I understand what their moves are. I understand how they will try, regardless of who the candidate is, and maybe for more than one candidate, they are going to try to convince our own spouses and parents and children not to vote for us. That's what they're going to do. We know that. We know that that's what they're going to do. And we cannot let that deter any of the people in this state who want to return democracy to Wisconsin. So I think it is good that we have people from different parts of this state delivering this message. I think it is important that we have people on the county level delivering this message, because they dropped the bomb. He announced he was going to drop the bomb. He wanted a war. He wanted a war. And what he's got now is he's got this state in more disarray than we've ever seen. And it's no accident that for 23 consecutive months under President Obama, this nation has gained jobs. 23 consecutive months under President Obama, this nation has gained jobs. And every month since his budget bill has passed, this state has lost jobs. Every single month. Because businesses want certainty. They want to be able to be in a situation where there is not turmoil, where you don't have a civil war. Make no mistake about it. There is a civil war going on in this state, and Scott Walker started it. And it is our job to do everything we can to not only end that war, but to be victorious for the people of this state. Thank you very, very much.